What's up, y'all? So the NBA playoffs start in less than 3 weeks. So today I wanted to give one strength and one weakness to every single playoff team. And today we will start with the Western Conference. And starting with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And as you could imagine, there are a lot of strengths when you talk about this Thunder team. Whether you want to pick their bench depth, they have a top 2 player in the world, a possible back-to-back MVP. They have Coach Mark Daytonall, who has been amazing all season. But the strength I picked for them is their overall defense. And this Thunder team has had the #1 ranked defense all season long, and the way they play is overly handsy, overly physical, and it's brought them a lot of criticism in the regular season. But once you get to the postseason and the whistles aren't as harsh, we already saw the success it brought them last season. And this roster is full of plus defenders with Chet, Dort, Caruso, Wallace, all being all defensive level guys. But Coach Mark Daytonall is such a great defensive minded coach that even Jared McCain, who wasn't the best defender in Philly, got brought in at the trade deadline and is now a plus defender. And they just don't have a real negative defender that you can hunt come postseason on this roster. And the weakness of this juggernaut, I think, has to be that their X factor and second option in Jalen Williams is coming off of an injury with just 10 games to go in the regular season. And I know that the Thunder have won almost 60 plus games with no J-Dub for a majority of the season, but with Chet being a great defender but not the best offensive player, and Shea being one of the best scorers in the world, you still will need J-Dub and what he provides on the offensive end. And we saw they needed him to drop 40 in a finals game for them to win a championship. The second team is the San Antonio Spurs, and I think it's obvious that their strength is just having Victor Wembanyama on the court. He is just one of the most impactful players in basketball. The Spurs, when Wemby is on the court, is 13.7 points better, 4.5 points offensively, and 9.2 points defensively, which is just truly insane to have that much impact on the game, and is one of the best in the league. Victor Wembanyama is the best rim protector in basketball, and sometimes it feels like it's impossible to even scheme around him in a 7-game series. And him being in the paint allows guys like Stephon Castle, who is almost all defensive level this year, being able to guard up on the perimeter and being one of the best guard defenders in basketball because he has Victor Wembanyama behind him. Now, their weakness, I think, is easily going to be their age and lack of playoff experience. Looking at their core, they have Victor Wembanyama, who is in year 3, Stephon Castle in year 2, Dylan Harper, who is a rookie, and obviously none of them have playoff experience. And then the last member of their core, De'Aaron Fox, who is in year 9 and only has one playoff series under his belt. And I think that is going to be the thing that would hold this Spurs team back. Now, the third team is the Los Angeles Lakers, and their strength is that they are getting hot at the right time, and we are seeing this big three start to click. The Lakers were on a 9-game winning streak, and Luka Doncic is just playing at an MVP level. He is one of the best scorers in the league, and he even shows flashes of Mavericks Luka Doncic when he brought them to the finals in 2024. But even outside of Luka, Austin Reeves and LeBron James have turned into great second and third options. Reeves is able to handle the offense without Luka, or whenever Luka Doncic is on the court, he is another scoring threat and a good secondary ball handler, and we are seeing LeBron James start to buy into that third option role. LeBron James in this recent stretch has been very non-ball dominant while still being the third most important player to this team. And even at age 41, he is leading the league in fast break points at 5.7 a game. And he just brings a level of intensity to this team. And he's one of the smartest players in the history of basketball, which is something you just don't lose at age 41. My weakness for the Lakers is still going to be their defense. Although they went on a winning streak, their defense in the last 2 weeks was 15th in the league, and on the season they sit at 20th. And the main factor for this come postseason will be the version of DeAndre Ayton that we would get. And looking at the Lakers defenders, it is Marcus Smart and Jared Vanderbilt. And Marcus Smart has looked a lot better offensively recently, but you still need a solid two-way guy. And I'm expecting that to be DeAndre Ayton. And I'm not expecting him to turn into Chet or Wemby on that side of the ball. But we have seen DeAndre Ayton be bought in and at least give effort on that side. So when your starting lineup is Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Marcus Smart, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton, if the Lakers want to be champions, they would have to be better defensively. The next team is the Denver Nuggets, and their strength is that they just have a top 2 player in the world and a super-powered offense. They have the best offense in the league and the offensive machine that is Nikola Jokic. And I've talked about this Nuggets offense a lot in my contenders video, but to elaborate, they just create open looks due to the gravity and playmaking from Nikola Jokic. And they are fairly average in shooting frequency ever on the court, but in terms of accuracy, they lead the league in most spots. They are first in threes, including first in non-corner threes and second in corner threes, third in mid-ranges, and first in overall effective field goal percentage. And I've talked about the amazing two-man game of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, but just having Murray be able to be an immense scoring threat and someone who can drop 30 on any given night has been amazing for this team. And they have Tim Hardaway Jr. off the bench, who is a 6th Man of the Year candidate in my eyes. He is a tough shot taker and a tough shot maker, and he shoots 40% from 3 on the season, which is already insane. But I swear, when I watch Nuggets game, I just don't see him miss. Then hopefully we'll see Cam Johnson become the Cam Johnson that the Nuggets traded for. Peyton Watson has taken a big offensive lead this season, and Aaron Gordon has a 50-point game this season, showing that he is more than capable on that side of the ball. And the weakness for Denver is their 21st ranked defense, and this has been their weakness really all season long, and everyone would just hope it improves. But now we're 3 weeks away from the NBA playoffs, and it does not look any different. And this Denver team's offense really has championship written all over it. But to get there, you would have to be an OKC or a San Antonio. And they are not known for their offense, but they're still top 7 on that side of the ball. And Denver just has some of the worst paint defense in the league. They are 27th in rim defense. So if they match up with a team like San Antonio, Wemby will be an immense threat down low. And even a guy like Stephon Castle, who has the slashing ability, could give them fits. They're also 19th in guarding the mid-range, so matching up with a potential OKC, Shea will just have his way with this defense. And I do want to say these numbers are slightly skewed because they didn't have Aaron Gordon for a majority of the season, and I think he will play a part in this team's defense come postseason. Next is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and their strength is how well they have been able to step up in the playoffs. Every year, everyone doubts the Minnesota Timberwolves, then they'll end up in the Western Conference Finals. Last year, in the regular season, they had the 8th best offense and the 6th best defense. Then in the postseason, they jumped to 5th on both sides of the ball. And it's not like there's nothing to believe in with this team, and we're just expecting them to make a jump if they don't want to lose in the first round. But I do think if you're looking at this team from face value, you are underrating their potential. The Timberwolves have a top 7 player in the NBA and has been a driving force for the past runs. Anthony Edwards can compete with anybody on any given night while being one of the best two-way players in the league. Now, their weakness is their game-by-game inconsistency. I found a stat that the Timberwolves versus teams over 500 are 27-11, so a 71% win rate when you're going against some of the best teams in the league, which is an amazing stat. But versus teams under 500, they are 18-17, so almost a 500 record themselves, and it just shows that on any given night, they could also lose a game. And maybe this stat is a positive because in the postseason, they will only be going against teams over 500, but it also does just show the inconsistency of this Timberwolves team. The next team is the Houston Rockets, and their strength is that they are still one of the better defensive teams in basketball. The Rockets have had a very injury-riddled season that I'll get to later, but still, through the midst of it, they are still top 5 in defensive rating. And I credit that partially to Ime Udoka, who has always been a great defensive-minded coach, but I also give credit to Amen Thompson, who has consistently been one of the top defenders in the league. The Rockets are 3rd in the league in guarding in the half court, and Amen Thompson is just an all-defensive level talent who can take your best player out of the games on some nights. And the weakness for the Rockets is that their whole offense has been thrown away due to injury. And they still do have the 10th best offense due to the insanely skilled scoring of Kevin Durant, but still, losing Fred VanVleet really just lost all the playmaking for this team. Kevin Durant is more than capable of creating his own shot, but once he sees a double above the arc, it's almost a guaranteed turnover. As well as Amen Thompson just not being that two-way playmaking guard that Houston wanted them to be, and that leads to Houston being at the top of the league in turnover percentage. Next is the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns have wildly overachieved this season, and that is primarily due to their physical defense and their great coaching. And Dillon Brooks has brought a level of toughness to every single stop that he's been at, and it's no different for this Phoenix team. They have the 11th best defensive rating, and that is why they have been able to climb all the way up to the 7th seed in the Western Conference. The Suns are 5th in transition defense, 8th in the half court, and they guard the 3 better than anyone else in the league. And this whole Suns team plays with a physical, gritty type of style. So them currently being the 7th seed, if they could get the matchup against the 2-seeded Spurs, the only way they're really going to win that matchup is to be physical and play that playoff level defense. And their weakness is their lack of reliable offense outside of Devin Booker. When you think about this Suns team and their second option, it's like Jalen Green or Dillon Brooks. And Jalen Green has games in the regular season where he'll go off for 30 and 6 made threes. And he'll also have games where he has 6 on 90% shooting. And we saw last season that he did not show up in the playoffs. In the 7 games versus the Warriors, he only averaged 13 points per game. But Dillon Brooks is averaging the most points per game of his career at 20 points, and I think he has been just very solid on both sides of the ball. But if you are in a potential 2-7 matchup with the San Antonio Spurs, I don't think it matters who's really guarding him. They will shut him down. The next team is the Clippers, and their strength is having Kawhi Leonard, and I've just loved this Clippers offense really all season long. The Clippers are 10th in offensive rating and 5th in effective field goal percentage, and the main catalyst to that has been Kawhi Leonard, who is having an All-NBA season. Right now he's averaging 28 points per game, and he is still hyper efficient, shooting 50, 38, 90, and Kawhi has just been a known playoff riser. And Darius Garland has looked amazing in the times that he's been healthy. Right now for the Clippers, he's averaging 21-7, including a 41-point game versus the Dallas Mavericks. And he has just been able to replace the James Harden role on this team. And as long as they can be healthy, this Clippers team could be dangerous in the postseason. And their weakness is their start to the season. Since January 1st, they have a 26-15 record, so 11 games over 500. But on the season, they're only 1 game over 500 due to the abysmal start they had. The Clippers through the first 20 games were 5-15, and through the first 30 they were 9-21. And this is such a detriment to this Clippers team because in the Western Conference especially, playoff seeding really does matter. And so since they fall into the 8th seed, even though they have been 11 games over 500 recently, they would have to match up against a potential OKC or San Antonio who will just completely shut down their offense. So if they didn't have such a horrible start, they could be a potential 6 seed, maybe even 5 seed. And although I don't think they'd be favored in a Lakers or Denver matchup, it would be much more favorable for them. And the last two teams are the 9 and 10 seed, and they do have a chance to make the postseason through the play-in, so I will mention them quickly. Starting with the Portland Trailblazers, and their strength is that their offensive rebounding just creates more possessions. I think Donovan Clingan will be a top 10 center in the future. And the weakness for the Blazers is that I just don't think they're ready yet. I think they will get a postseason series very soon, but you just might need another year of Denny, Sharp, Clingan, Scoot Henderson all together. And the strength for the Golden State Warriors would be a possible return for Steph Curry, who is in year 17 and still phenomenal. And their weakness is that everything they wanted to do preseason just did not work out. They went to the second round last year and thought just bringing back Jimmy, Draymond, and Curry would work, and it just hasn't. But that is my strength and weakness for every single NBA playoff team. So let me know what y'all think down in the comments and make sure to like and subscribe.